All right, tonight we got a bunch of fun topics. Um, and you know what? I'll give us a little bit of music. Let everybody kind of get in here. Hello, hello, hello. This is the Political Matrix. I am your host and good friend, Young Morpheus, other known as Mr. Marcus Cage. I'm here today with my co-host and good friend, Mr. Emmanuel, and I'm here with a special guest. My good friend to my, I guess it will be my far right on the screen, Mr. Jerome Chrisman. We go back quite a bit of ways. He's a very deep brother, and he's in depth on a lot of topics. So I wanted to have him on, have his take, and I figured it'll be a lot of fun also. So welcome to the show, Jerome. How's it going, brother?
Appreciate it. It's going pretty good, a little late, a little tired, but I stayed up for the show. Come and check you out, see what y'all got going on. I caught a couple shows, and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to come on and talk with y'all because a lot of the topics y'all be touching on, I'm interested in. So, I'm here, see what we come up with tonight.
All right, sweet. So I guess I will lay out the topics for tonight. Let's see, am I echoing? Okay. All right, the topics for tonight, as the show is titled, let's see, elections, defections, and chaos in the Capitol. So first we had, of course, we had the elections that went on in Georgia, and we got Emmanuel here, a man who is a local, who is there, boots on the ground, and he has actually a little bit of flavor. He's able to add in to this discussion in a way that most of us won't have, being from other regions of the country right now. We're also going to get into the part when I talk about defections. Right now, after that whole Capitol spill thing, Republicans are running right and left from Trump. I guess that now they figured now's the time to make the break and they can start recovering their images for a couple more years to try to swindle some more people into believing that they're halfway decent. But we all know none of these people are. Don't fall for the games. This is just what they're doing. So I guess we'll start off with talking about the elections first because I know we got a lot that we'll be able to dig into when we get into this capital issue. I see Signs is in the building, and I see a new person in here. Yak Yak, welcome to the chat. Emmanuel, I'll turn it over to you on the elections. I know we talked a little bit before we started the show on John Ossoff and some of your thoughts on him. So I guess I'll give you the floor, let you expound a little bit more to the audience, on some of your thoughts.
Well, I am from Georgia. It happened in my the special Senate runoff election did happen in my state. Got in and I'm not gonna say boots on the ground. I'm gonna say kind of got fed up. By the time the election officially rolled around on the 5th, I was just kind of fed up. I mean, you're talking wall to wall coverage on TV, wall to wall coverage on the radio. You are talking about flyers and emails being inundated. You are talking about text messages, probably 5, 10, 15 an hour telling you to vote for Ossoff, vote for Warnock. I mean, it got crazy. And I didn't know this until later, but a massive amount of cash in regards to the election came from California, which I didn't know about until after the election was over. But I don't like Ossoff. He's tried this before. He's a Clinton boy all the way. I mean, he's not going to fundamentally change anything. Warnock was, I don't know much about him, but it seems like he's probably going to be on the exact same page. I mean, there were a lot of people who thought for a really long time, Georgia turns blue. If they both win, they can gain control of the Senate and, change like a whole bunch of stuff that was wrong. But, you got, if you look at what Senate Democrats did, I think it was maybe like a week or so ago in regards to the $2,000 stimulus, I'm just like two people wasn't really going to make much of a difference in that regard. And then, so what do you get because they won? You got Schumer, who's in charge now, which is a joke. You got Bernie, who's head of the health commission, who's head of the budget commission, supposedly. I'm not holding out too much hope for that. But I think we gotta expand onto the bigger issue in regards to the internet censorship problem that happened immediately after they won, because I think it was within like the same week that the Senate happened, right? The Senate the Capitol building charge happened like literally within the same week. I mean, so that's my honest take on it. I'm just honestly sick of it. I'm honestly sick of believing that, anything's going to substantially change because, they went blue or whatever. I mean, it's not going to happen. I mean, it feels a little bit like it feels a little bit like Obama Part 2. A little bit, because as we remember, Obama had, majority, the Democrats had majority control of the presidency, the House, the Senate, and for 2 years they didn't do anything. And then after those 2 years happened, they progressively lost everything. They progressively lost everything in regards to that because they didn't go far enough. So
Well,
everybody's
I kind of thought of
here.
something. Oh, sorry to
No
interrupt you.
problem.
Since you didn't say much about Warnoff, it was a certain direction which I feel like Jerome could probably fill in on this. Me and him, we talk about a couple of different things as far as faith issues also. And so Mr. Warnoff, the fact that he's a pastor, and what are some of your takes on how you perceive Warnock, Jerome? Don't worry, hey, feel free to let off however you feel.
Yeah, I I try not to get into politics too much. I'm kind of like with what my man is saying. I'm fed up too. I'm tired of all of all of the distractions, the smoke and mirrors. I like honesty, straightforward, direct. So and then but what I do like and really like to talk about is spirituality. I say that not to say religion, because religion is another one of those distractions. They put that religion on it to control you, but our spirituality is who we are, and that's really what they after. And that's what all of this is about, is creating a world where we can't tap into the source and we have to seek them for everything that we need. That controlling their powers to is just to dumb us down and suck us for everything, kind of just like the movie The Matrix. So I don't, the politics, I follow just because I have to, but I don't let it soak up my mental too much. I just try to stay above the fray and stay focused on the Most High. You know what I mean? I don't, and I
What
guess
what
that's all I can say about it. Because I don't, I don't get into politics as much as I used to. I'm kind of out of that right at this point where I'm at in my life right now. It's just more trying to find that balance and leave it inheritance, like the books say, I guess.
mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I mean,
all of this,
oh,
everything
sorry.
that's going on with the election, I think that it's prophetic. Most definitely, I definitely think it's prophetic. I think that this whole red, blue, Georgia turning blue. I think it's more of what they want. The Democratic Party is they the worst of the two, if you ask me. Because they want you dependent. You can't never, that old saying, "Don't bite the hand that feeds you." Well, they say that because it's unwise. And the Democrats want to be the hand that feeds you. As long as they giving out handouts, they feel like they can control and they can keep the people in servitude. The Republican Party, they more looking out for, what can I do for myself? And I guess that's, if I had to pick a party, that'd be the party that I would ride with, but I don't deal with neither one of them again. So, I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all get back to that until y'all get on the subject that I'm more knowledgeable in, I guess.
No, I mean that was well said. And the reason why I tossed that your way is because I need more people to hear that take instead of thinking, a lot of people just look at numbers and say, oh, well, this many people vote Democrat, or this many people vote Republican, or this many people are that, and black males vote this way, or they don't vote at all, or they don't vote because of this, or they don't vote because of that. And I wanted them to be able to actually hear from a responsible black male who's a responsible father who gives you his reasons on why he has no faith in the system and why he's not wasting any time with the nonsense. And instead of deciding that why people aren't going to do things, how about you just ask your brother why they're not doing it? It's that clear cut.
Well, yeah, as far as the not voting thing, I don't vote just because again, it has to do with my spiritual understanding. You know, I'm the ruler of myself. I don't place anybody over me. So voting would, by default, I'm giving you some type of authority. So yeah, I don't participate in that. I govern me and my family and my household. And as long as you don't come over here with no nonsense, then we good. I don't do that to you. You don't do that to me. I treat everybody with the same respect I would want them to treat me. And and that's, I was listening to a show the other day, and they were talking about he was talking about the idea of being able to adjudicate emotions, and everybody has a right to feel how they want to feel. And I think that's what people are getting lost in all of this, is that, yeah, racism is wrong, but at the end of the day, people can feel how they want to feel. You know, we can't get so caught up in trying to do away with racism when you forget that, hey, man, them is people's emotions. They don't have to like me. Now I need to understand that if that's the case, but I also need to understand that everybody has a right to feel how they want to feel. So with that, we come together with those that want to come together with you, I guess, and quit worrying about those that don't like you. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, your friends, them the ones that's gonna build you up. Your enemies, that's what they there for. They your enemies. They gonna tear you down. If you so worried about them, you ain't gonna never be able to do nothing. So, but yeah, I don't even know where I came from with that. But yeah, the whole voting thing, I don't vote. I quit voting with Obama the first time. He got me, and I took that personal when he did that to me, because I was like everybody else. We got a brother in office. He gonna do something. It's gonna be some real change, and it never happened. And I was looking stupid. And like I said, I took that personal because I'm a straightforward, honest type of person, and I'm like, man, and yeah, that was the end of that. So yeah.
Welcome in, brother Chris. How we doing? Chris, you haven't got to meet my good friend yet. And for those who are tuning in, the gentleman who you guys just heard speaking is my good friend Jerome Crispin. We go all the way back to high school days, and I believe even before then. So it's a really good brother that we have here. He's really knowledgeable, and a lot of the third rail conspiracy theory stuff that you would consider conspiracy theory that turns out to start to have a lot more, credit behind it now, where people were mocking some of those people years back. This is one of the brothers who I know of who was already ahead of the curve on a lot of these things. And so I even remember being literally on the other side of some of these issues and like, nah, Jay, I'm not with you, man. That just sounds a little too far out there. And now I'm the same one that's saying the same things that he said. Now, at the time, I didn't have the full picture. And at the time, he might not have had all the details to be able to show it to me exactly where it can be convincing. But now I've been able to see documentation from like Pentagon sources, this and that, and when it becomes so much evidence in front of you that you can't deny what you're seeing. And that's when I had to swallow my pride, humble down, say some apologies to some people, and let them know, hey, you know what, you was right, and I'm ready to use the two ears more than the one mouth. So, how we doing tonight, Chris?
Oh, what's going on, fellas? E, what's up? Jerome, what's going on? Nice to meet you, man. I was running a little late. Other than that, I'm good. Speaking on what you said, it does take a certain level of pride and ego. You have to let it go, rather. What I'm saying, to understand some of the things that are happening, because clearly you're never going to be taught about some of this stuff in school, right? You're never going to be taught about some of the darker underbelly of things. They're never going to teach you that. So for some people, when you try to talk to them about these things or explain it to them, they will tend to, again, ignore you, call you crazy, want to put you in a corner. They don't want to hear it, But like you just said, time reveals all. So even the crazy don't sound so crazy, especially in 2021 now, especially after living through 2020. I mean, if you're not opening your mind to, alternative thinking, then you're a zombie and you should just keep with the Walking Dead and that's it.
I mean, exactly. And if you think about how the whole Capitol thing happened, now, if you would have told any of the four of us on this panel that a bunch of white people would storm the Capitol and start kicking in doors and all that crap and looting offices, none of us would be surprised. But people are like, well, I don't get this, and well, things are just falling apart. No, it's just a matter of who's doing it. We go back to 2010 with the what were they called? The Tea Party. The Tea Party, they were out there, they were up in people's faces, they were aggressive, they were pushing people around and fighting and doing all those things. And if we continuously look at a pattern and start looking at the hard right of the Republican Party, there's always been that element that was more violent, and there's always been that respect from police to allow certain things to slide as long as you're of a certain hue. And we watch, any other, if we want to have a protest for Black Lives Matter, and I'm not talking about the organization, I'm talking about the original movement and intent, because I was out there marching with Black Lives Matter when Trayvon Martin got shot, when Jordan Davis got shot, because I literally lived probably 15 minutes from the gas station where Jordan Davis got shot. And at that time, the movement was about getting justice. It was about holding police officers accountable. And now we all know it's whatever the hell it is now. But that doesn't take away from what our intent and the things that we believe that are important to worry about and focus on and fight for. So I guess on that note, we'll switch over to the next fun topic, defections. Everybody's been with Trump for the longest until this whole Capitol Hill thing went down. Now you see the rats running like rats. And everybody knows what they are. It's time for all of us to start calling them who they are. Words are not hurting anybody. That's all we have. It's not like we can say something like Trump and then muster 100,000 people outside of a building to do something crazy. So to block us and worry about what we're saying is petty, and we shouldn't worry about that censorship ourselves. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it regardless. So time to start throwing caution to the wind, throwing disclaimers away, and just talking to people as adults and being real about it. If you're not ready to be real, then this ain't the place for you. So just wanted to put that out there because I believe in 2021, it's just going to keep getting, it's going to keep getting more real and more real and more real. And we're just going to have to talk about it. So with the defections, I've seen at least about like 10 different people. And we're talking about up and down the chain, from Melania's like assistants to all the Lindsey Graham people who are now flipping on him. And what do you think? What do you think about that, Emmanuel? I know you have some thoughts more on what's going on with the Senate stuff and how those different games will play out. So just curious, what you think, brother?
I mean, if we talk about the Trump defections, right? We are talking about numerous internet sites across the board, either banning or sequestering him. So now you have to ask the question, why didn't they do this before? Right? Why did they all of a sudden say, you know what? We're gonna pull the plug on this. I'm done. I'm finished. I'm out. He's gotten his 15 minutes. It's time for him to go off into the sunset. And then at the same time, like Jerome was saying, the Democrats are more than happy to I'm telling you, the Democrats are more than happy to hand out a pardon to Trump if impeachment goes forward. I see that. I see that happening. I see them giving him a pardon and giving him a walk off into the sunset. They protect their own. I mean, he got him a lot of money. He got him a lot of time. He got him a lot of views and stuff. But now it's just like, okay, the party's over. It's time to get serious. It's time to go back to the imperialism. It's time to go back to the censorship. It's time to be the grown up again. The party. So the defections don't really surprise me. What surprised me was that I thought the rehabilitation of the Republican Party was going to happen. I guess I thought later. The very fact that, you see the Democrats trying to rehabilitate them like right now, like literally within probably the same week, is just I didn't see that coming, but I expected the rehabilitation to happen at some point because, of course, it's all cyclical. Seeing Biden get up on stage and say, oh, well, we need the Republican Party. We need them. They're good opposition. We need them. So, I'm just like, at the same time, you got people saying, you got all these little white folks that were sitting here enabling Trump for like years saying, you know what? That's okay. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to read myself. I'm a better person. And then you got another Republican, sitting here quoting Hitler, right? Saying, getting up on stage and quoting Hitler, 5 years ago, she could have gotten away with that. But now she had to immediately turn around and apologize, like officially, at the same, it's like they're trying to rehabilitate themselves while being radioactive at the same time. So the defection is fake. It's all fake. I mean, the two parties, they need each other. Like I've said the two parties needed each other. I've said they've needed each other. They can't survive without the other one. It's odd. You're aware of it. So I have more, but that's my take on it so far.
Well, I'll come in after E, I guess. I agree with him. They do need each other. Both parties, they need each other, but they need us to believe in them more than they need each other. Because we the fuel. You know, if the people would just wake up, you know, and see that. I'm sure everybody's seen the meme on Facebook, Instagram about the red ants and the black ants in the jar, and you know you set the jar down and the ants will just be in the jar, peaceful. But if you shake the jar up, then the ants they'll fight each other to the death. Well, we the ants, you know, and we need to understand that there's somebody on the outside shaking the jar, and that's this system. You know, I don't know. The thing with
Just say it, homie. Just say it.
like I say, I'm a lot of people, you know, they be like, you know, he be tripping with some of the stuff he believes. But I believe, you know, all of this, they hate this man Trump. You know, I don't vote. I'm not a Trump supporter, but I kind of look at things different. Both sides hate Trump. You know, we talking about the defectors. Well, it quite possibly could be that, you know, they pulling out those Trump cards that they got on some of these politicians, you know, that blackmail bag that like, okay, it's time to, you owe that favor. You know what I'm saying? It's time to what they say, them chickens come home to roost, because what he's doing goes against the system. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the stuff that nobody's talking about right now because of what's going on with the election. You know, that whole Epstein case, that's a big deal. Them damn pedophiles, that sex trafficking, stuff going on with these kids. A lot of them politicians was in on that. And if you don't know and understand that, then you don't know and understand what's going on. You know what I mean? And ain't nobody talking about that right now. You know, you get and me personally, I think that plays a part in why they hate this man so much. Why they hate this man, because it's not just about politics and United States government. It's about them trying to say their ass, basically. You know, and that's what it's really coming down to, in my opinion, because look at, like, everybody's still mad at Trump. But look at this this stimulus bill they just passed. Why is everybody mad at Trump, but they ain't mad at Congress or whatnot for signing this bill to send all this money overseas, and they gave the American people $600? Maybe that's why the people stormed the building, not just because Trump told them to. Maybe because people are really, really fed up with the state of the government, you know. But all they talking about on the news media is, look at what Trump did to the people. Well, what about what the government done to the people? You know what I'm saying? When are we gonna start holding these people accountable consistently and not just in the moment? You know what I mean? When it's happening and when the media is telling us, look at what they did, but then tomorrow, look at what, you know, look over here. I don't know. My thoughts is not coming to me like that, but the point is, we got to wake up. You know, we got to be able to draw on our memory and understand what's going on, because it's more than just Trump is a bad man and we need to get him out. It's got way more to do with than just that. I guess I'll leave it at that.
Chris, I know you got something.
You know, I'm just trying to be easy because there's a lot floating around in here. So I'm just, you know, I just want to make sure I get it out properly. But what we told Wednesday, that was clearly it was allowed so we could get to this point, because there's too much lockstep movement now amongst even the social media companies alone, much less like the traditional media companies. The president of the United States was banned. I mean, they banned him from Spotify. I mean, really? Like, what, he was dropping mixtapes on Spotify? You know what I'm saying? So you can see clearly it was a program. They knew they needed the event, which was Wednesday. They let those people run in. They're calling them insurrectionists, domestic terrorists, and all this other stuff. But let me ask you something. When terrorists ever ran up at something, they have no weapons. They didn't set nothing on fire. They didn't destroy any offices. The one office they claim that they destroyed, they had paper around. All those computers were still on the desk nice and neat. The phones weren't destroyed. I mean, damn, for terrorists, they really suck. For insurrectionists, they really suck. They didn't try to take any hostages. I mean, they're supposed to be racist too, right? They didn't beat up no black cops. There's a couple, so the whole narrative around the media was just nonsense. But again, that was used now to get rid of Trump. You can't even listen to the president of the United States now if you wanted to. It is now highly filtered through either CBS or NBC, what have you. Even when you see Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham start saying, "Well, he's run his course. It's time for him. Time for him to sit down, back down." What's funny is what we're not talking about though is the election. You're not looking at none of those situations in Georgia or Michigan that do look kind of questionable in regards to the votes. I'm under the belief that they did cheat because again, the Democrats cheated in their own primary, the last 2 cycles, right? They sit around and screened Russia for the last 4 years. Then they got with Team Bush that helped cheat in 2000. All signs and everything is pointing to the fact that they did some funny shit behind this with this election. So here we are now. They're trying to not trying to. They've silenced not just the president, but a lot of people who even follow him. And me, I have to tie it into Corona. It's not a coincidence that a lot of the people who they are kicking offline are also the same people who have doubts when it comes to the official narrative about the coronavirus. So that's kind of a 2-for-1 deal that they're doing right now. Go ahead, E.
They're kicking off people. They're kicking off people from the left and the right. They're kicking off both. They're kicking off both sides. And a lot of people were thinking they were kicking off. Well, do they kick off officially? Supposedly, they kicked off Rush Limbaugh. Everybody was like, Rush is gone, yay! And then somebody was like, oh, this leftist is gone. And they were like, oh, wait, what? And I think a lot of people who want to hate Trump don't realize that a lot of people are like Jerome. They're just kind of like sick of it. They're just kind of like, they're kind of fed up. I was having an argument with somebody the other day, and they were like, the Republicans care about the working class and the Democrats care about the middle class. And I'm just like, dude, and I'm literally telling him, like, it's all a cycle for them to get more money. It's a game for them. It's a game for them. It's a game for them to get more cash. They're more like Jerome. They're not interested in voting. They're not interested in the election. They're not interested in voting because they feel like it's not doing anything for them. So, we don't. We asked the question about. He was talking about we're not talking about the Epstein case. I was like, why aren't we talking about the fact that we still can't talk about the white suicide bomber that blew up like a city block? Still haven't heard anything about that. Blew up a city block, right? Suicide bomber blew up a city block. No news about it. Nothing. Still nothing. And then every single time it seems like something's going to happen. Oh, wait, else happened. Or some other distraction just popped up out of nowhere. So, you just have to ask. I honestly just have to ask myself questions, right? Like, I don't. Politics leads into questions, but then they start to affect stuff like censorship in the internet. That affects my livelihood because, of course, I work. I'm going to work on the internet, so my questions lead into other questions. That's all I got right now. So.
Well, that's what we haven't. Oh no, go ahead, Chris.
The whole thing just feels very nasty, all of it. Again, like I said, if they're, and the sad part, I guess, to me, I guess personally, what I find frustrating is that people will call themselves like anti-government, people who call for revolutions in times past are out here on the internet like, yeah, lock them up, go chase those people down, put them in jail. Like, so you went from burn it down to lock them up? So you were more right wing than you realize. And again, I just see a lack of such analysis, or even just a lack of wanting to even just look at these events. If you just look even some of the images that was if you even look at some of the images that was coming out of the Capitol on whatever day that was, Saturday, Wednesday, that shit felt so, it felt so staged. There didn't even seem to be there was no danger in that. But again, the whole purpose was to fool the vast majority of people, not even just to make us feel away, like the three of us, the four of us here, or the people watching this program here. That was intended to get the average person on board with them, continuing. That was meant to convince people that Trump is just so bad that now he has people running up in the Capitol building. And then you had the FBI on Twitter, like, please help us identify. Like, if y'all don't stop the bullshit, the FBI asking who, I mean, come on, man, stop playing. This is the same FBI, right, that's helped set up the whole plot to kidnap Governor Whitmer in Michigan. You understand? So if you're not following, you could get caught up in this and think it's real, but they full of shit, man. They are so full of shit. That's why I ain't buying into it.
They were asking if they could find them, but you got one dude who picked up like Nancy Pelosi's podium, and he still had like his work tag on his shirt, and I'm just like,
thank you.
They gotta be the worst they gotta be like the worst revolutionaries I've ever seen in my whole life. It was like somebody got off of work and just texted, like, oh, hey, can we just Capitol today? Get some like 5 minutes of attention or whatever, white solidarity. It just, that's probably how it played out. So,
and I will say, but you see, it was allowed for what purpose though? Because what came from it? Because immediately after they was pointing at Trump, his fault, and that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Like, I got to question what it is that they really are. Why are they so afraid of this man? You know what I'm saying? Why is it that they were willing to stage a takeover, a coup at the Capitol to blame on this man because he's a racist? Really? That's what you want me to believe? Because he's a racist? Y'all doing all this because he's racist?
Why you tell us that we need to support Joe Biden on top of that?
Yeah. It's like, it doesn't make sense, man. And that's what I mean, and that's what I'm saying about the whole situation. But then when you understand who are pulling the strings, the whole purpose in this is, again, conspiracy, that one world government, that one world rulership. They trying to usher that in, and they go get it done because a lot of the people are asleep. A lot of people are just drinking the Kool-Aid. They following whatever agenda is being told to them, the flavor of the day.
Can I jump in real quick too, guys? I just wanted to make, we're 4 black men here, and I must say, I'm disappointed highly in a lot of our people, kid. The response I'm seeing to this is super. It's sad. You know what? It's not even sad. It's fucking pathetic, and it show our people still super lost about a lot of this shit. Because you watch what happened, and the first thing that come out your mouth is, "Well, if that was us, they would have shot us and beat us up." Why?
Right.
Why are you mentioning that for? Just look at what happened. It ain't had nothing to do with us. It had nothing to do with racial issues. Period. Nothing. It was a fucking stage event. So why are you sitting here complaining about what would have happened to your silly ass had you ran in there? So that, again, if you can't see how they made you have that response, you didn't think about that. They made you have that. It was like, when you go to the doctor, you hit your knee and your leg kicks out to test your reflexes. Right. They knew without thinking that they was going to make black folks respond in the way that they did. And it worked so perfectly. So again, they will never even think to look and say, maybe some of those people had some legitimate grievances for being there. Maybe some of their complaints, criticisms, concerns are legitimate. No, it's just crazy, silly white people who just want to exercise their white privilege. Now, here's the thing. So if this is such a white privilege, white supremacy thing, the authorities sure are coming after those white folks there. So again, if this is a system of white privilege and white supremacy, they sure are locking up their own people too. But I guess that requires a different level of thinking that most of our people just ain't getting.
Well, yeah, you know, the
I
whole
guess
white supremacy.
One thing that and everybody talks about like that it's racist all of a sudden. If you check on my other channel, I literally did a video going through every single president, and we probably can count on our hand which presidents you would not consider racist. Every single one of these presidents, I can show you receipts on how they are racist. It's just you've only been taught to focus on certain things. For instance,
Correct.
A lot of people think about how horrible Hitler is, but nobody thinks about King Leopold and what he was doing and how bad he was. Why is he not rated on that same level? Why is not Mao Zedong? Why not people like that rated on that same level when he killed like 100 times more than Hitler did and was far more brutal? No, we don't talk about these things. We talk about ISIS and we talk about the brutality in the Middle East, but we don't talk about who stripped away the resources, left it bare and raven, for the rest of those people, and then say, here, fight over what's left. We look at the situation, but we don't look at how the situation got to how it is. And that's the problem with most of us. We're being reactionary, and we're letting the media tell us what to react to instead of actually paying attention to the whole entire thing. For instance, I know this is a little bit off subject, but I gotta say it because especially on the political left, a lot of people, this is their biggest focus. Julian Assange. I know this is going to be a little bit taboo, what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Julian Assange, what happens with him, good or bad, is not going to change the trajectory of the things that are coming down the pike, especially this year. I reported on a couple of weeks ago that last year was the most dangerous and violent year for reporters in the last 100 years. Even with Assange and all this stuff going on, other people are still being persecuted, being murdered. I reported out in Twitter not too long ago about this one black journalist who's been arrested 3 times in the past 6 months. These stories are not being talked about either. And to think that, if you save Julian Assange, everything's going to be fine. No, you got 4 black males here. If we start speaking about certain things or going too deep in certain issues, we will be disappeared and we will not have a whole bunch of people rallying for us and to try to get us freed. That needs to be focused on that. Yes, what the Julian Assange thing is, that's just fighting for a man's freedom who's getting kind of wrong. That's not going to change the trajectory of anything on protections or freedoms for us, or if they're going to censor us later on. Nothing that happens with him is going to change what is going to happen throughout the rest of this year. You're watching them reauthorize Patriot Acts and all these different things, but you don't think about when they reauthorize them, is it exactly the same? No, it's not the same. Normally, every single time they ratchet it up, add some more crap in there, more different tools they can use to spy on you, to record more things, and they're constantly increasing the amount of authoritarianism which is going on, which is leading towards that great reset and new world order. And we've watched Bush talk about it back in the 80s. We've watched Reagan talk about it. We watched politicians in the UK, all over the world. We watch people like Bill Gates. All these people talk about it. And then we still sit there and act like, well, I don't know, like a finger stuck up your nose, like this is, The Simpsons or something. You guys just think this is a game. But all the things that we keep talking about. I mean, you can ask Emmanuel. Me and Emmanuel have had plenty of conversations about all of these things escalating, getting to this level. Whether it's actually just people being pissed off because they're struggling and because you're shutting down shit, or whether it's actually some agents which are, infused in there and pushing things. Almost every one of these situations, even when they're grassroots, they do have agents always infiltrating. So those are the things you got to keep in mind. Sorry to kind of drive us off to the right a little bit, but I felt I should throw that in there because everybody wants to put Trump is so super racist. Yeah, he's racist, but all the fucking presidents are racist. What's new? What is new? Think about how many of our presidents literally had slaves. And then I listen to black people say, Trump is the worst president we'd have ever had. I'm like, do y'all realize we had a president that used to beat his slaves and then put alcohol and brine and stuff in their wounds to inflict more pain just for fun? Our first president literally kicked out and plucked out slaves' teeth to make his own dentures.
Look,
and we said there's Trump is the worst president ever. Andrew Jackson,
the media
literally kill with his bare hands. Come on, people.
Media manipulation is at an all-time high, and the programming is working just perfectly. I mean, they got it down to a science to where you can tell what basically most people, if they aren't researching and reading anything, you could basically tell exactly what they're going to say down to the word, down to the pauses in their sentence, down to the names they'll call. Again, I have people telling me all the time, like, aren't you concerned Trump is so racist? And I'm like, I just be looking at people sideways, like, please stop talking to me before I really go off. You know what I mean? So, again, it's a tech takeover. Because I noticed earlier, Boris Johnson Boris Johnson, what's that, like a conservative dude in England, right? He would be more on the conservative side. And Joe Biden here in the United States is supposed to be more on the liberal side of things, right? They both running the same Build Back Better program. So this tells you them people ain't got no control. It's the tech takeover, man. Like we've been saying for months here on this channel. It's just that was the event that helped them solidify it. So now you won't ask any other question about the election. And now, like, even Twitter is going to turn into such a liberal circle jerk. It's going to be horrible on that app now. If it was worse than before, it's going to be worse now.
You already got people on Twitter saying now, if you question about it, it's a Republican tactic. If you have questions about it, it's a Republican tactic. I'm just like, you need to ask the question, why when that week, I'm not even calling that a coup. I mean, we'll just call that the week stroll into the Capitol. We're just gonna call it the stroll into the Capitol. When that week stroll into the Capitol happened, why did Biden start talking domestic? Not why but domestic terrorism. And people are they'll go supremacy. Nah. See. With the crime bill, do Patriot Act. I'm just like, history reveals itself in its wording. So when we're talking about domestic terrorism, who defines that? Who defines who's domestically a terrorist? Who are you going to define them as terrorists? You're going to define white racist, or are you going to define the poor black, protester out there, causing property doing the police or whatever doesn't like. Notice that when they strolled into the Capitol, supposedly the police chief, he got let go. He got fired. So I'm just, they're cleaning it up. And they're saying they're cleaning it up for the inauguration. And I'm hoping that's when the reset happens, but it feels like it sometimes.
I was gonna say, adding on to thinking about that whole, like, with them even thinking about the whole impeachment thing, something that I wanted to add in. the whole idea of impeachment, what is it? Let me see. What do we got? Today is the what? The 9th? And when is the inauguration? What, the 20th? Now, let's see. So that would be at earliest they could start on what, Monday? Or I think what, Tuesday they're back in session. That'd probably be the earliest they can start. At that point, that's what, like 5 days to work on impeachment to do what? What exactly? Because impeachment does not give you charges. Impeachment just is to try to remove you from office. Now, even if you're going to try to see criminal charges on him, what charge are you going to do? The only charge I can think of remotely you could try would be stochastic terrorism, which that would be a huge, huge reach because he didn't direct anybody to officially go do anything. So you would be wasting a lot of money any way you slice it. It just doesn't make any sense. Worrying about 25th Amendment for what, Mike Pence to stay there for like what, be inaugurated for a day or two. I mean, it's almost like the left has gotten so reactionary and so angry. They just feel they need to do something. They feel there needs to be some kind of consequence, and they just can't get that. Hey, this is a lame duck president. Dude's about to be out of office. Just ride it out. Put on your big boy pants and your big girl pants and just deal with it. I mean, you really want to waste all of this money for what? You know, we can't even get more than $600, and everybody didn't even get $600. Some people they're holding up for whatever reason. So to focus on stuff like that, for one, I feel it's mostly media driven. For two, it has to
It is.
be it has to be upper class white neoliberals, because for that to be something that you care about so fervently, to waste that kind of money on when all kind of people are struggling, shows that obviously you're sitting pretty damn comfortable to even think about shit like that. For your mind to be in that space, you're not in the same space that most of us are in.
It's a, it's a fact. They the the supposed left, they're in again, they spend too much time worrying about silly stuff, fractional voting. What's the reserve voting? What they call it? Like a ranked choice voting. What's that gonna do for you when the Democratic Party still has the power, right? Or the Republicans still have a power? And to that extent, let's even look at the squad. Cori Bush, what's the first thing she do? Oh, I'm introducing legislation, or she is some kind of bill or some kind of measure to kick the Republicans out of office who supported Trump or whatever. Good luck getting out. So you think the Democrats and the Republicans going to choose to vote themselves out of office and power? I mean, who are you playing with? And again, now we're talking about impeachment articles, but yet you're telling us people are suffering from being home from the virus, etc., and the lockdowns, and you won't give anybody any money. That was a quick pivot from, hey, let's get these $2,000 checks, to now we're at, oh, impeachment. So they're not going to do anything for the people anytime soon at all. So again, it's just more distraction from that. Oh, austerity Joe.
Yeah, they were already. Joe was already austerity. Joe was already talking about austerity in the election. He was already saying, "What will you do from now on, knowing you're targeted next?" I'm working on a whole bunch of other stuff. Maybe start posting about stuff like that. If it does get to the point where we're just cursing people left and right, that's probably what I'll start. That's probably what I'll honestly start doing. But I use Twitter for other things. I don't just use it. In fact, that's not even why I originally got on Twitter in the first place. I got originally on Twitter because I wanted to have a better relationship with my girlfriend at the time, and kind of all into just kind of evolved into, you know, talking about politics or whatever. But yeah, I don't talk about my hobbies or what I do activism in other areas. So that's definitely what I probably would be doing. I'd probably be doing activism in like other areas that I focus on that don't have anything to do with they're politics adjacent, but they're not politics driven. So that's me. If we're going to talk about what the future is going to look like.
Yeah, going back to the question, like, you know, like I said, Twitter is about to just become a liberal circle jerk. You know, that's what it's about to be, of a whole bunch of Brooklyn Dad accounts. I think you know who that is. You know, one of those accounts that sees nothing wrong with the Democratic Party. So it's about to be that. You know, I was talking to Marcus. I was telling him, you know, we need to work on a site away from YouTube, Twitter, you know, anything owned by these social media companies, because again, if you start talking about some of this stuff and you grow a large enough following, you're sure to be removed from those platforms. So the best thing you could do is just try to get yourself all over the place. At least have your own website, collect email addresses so you can send out the information that way, whether you're making videos or you're have a blog or you're writing articles and stuff. But whatever it is you do, you just have to make sure that you are on multiple platforms, because we just saw Google and Apple remove Parler from their app store. It's like, okay, you don't want them on Twitter, cool. So you can't let them congregate on their own on Parler. You have to go to the next step to just even remove it from the store.
They were on Amazon. They were hosted by Amazon. Amazon dropped and Amazon dropped Parler. You're correct. Google did you know come down on Parler too and just pretty much say yeah. But yeah, they were hosted originally on Amazon, hosting Parler, and Amazon dropped Parler completely. So you know, right? It's about to become a liberal circle jerk. It's definite. You're definitely seeing it. Any real thing is just it's not really being done. Or question does censoring lead to fascism? I think fascism can just take many, and censoring is just another way to. And censoring is just merely another way because not too long ago Trump wanted to. You know, they're talking about Democrats doing internet censorship. We seem to forget that Trump not too long ago wanted to do the exact same thing. So it's not really deleting other lines of thinking. It's more like it seems like you have to fight the beat. It seems like if there's a gambit that you move past, there's like merely 5 other ones that say, okay, you know, we're just gonna cut you off. Or we're gonna let the knees. It may be longer. It may be more substantive. It may be more intricate, but we're really gonna reach the same place. So my thought is censoring is just another way. It's not the only one. So, but at the end of the day, really delete all forms of thinking now. I mean, like, you know, the world's I guess the optimist in me says that the world is an open place, and that if there is censorship, you know, there'll be people that'll circumvent it. There'll be people that'll invent new forms of security or make sure that they're anonymous online and give out their opinion, give out their opinions that way. So I agree with what Chris said, is that more independent streams of media that doesn't have anything to do with the main big tech industry are definitely going to start popping up if internet censorship ramps up under Biden. So that's my take on it, personally.
I guess I'll weigh in now. I guess since I am, I am the main content creator here, and I set up. I have, I guess, multiple channels, and been doing this for a little bit. As far as Twitter, what I've kind of been doing more so on Twitter, some people have noticed, some people haven't really noticed, is I've been doing more just putting different stories out there and comment a little here and there. I've kind of reduced the amount of interactions, especially contentious ones, just because I realize um, they're already shadow banning most of my Twitter anyway. I literally on my average tweet, I probably have about point 0.00, 3% of my followers my followers who even see the tweets in the first place. So I'm already extremely limited on what message I can get out, and it seems like before people retweet it more often, and so the message would get out there, and then people would see it, and then maybe the tweet might go a little bit more viral. But now even the retweeting has diminished off dramatically. So as far as Twitter, Twitter, I kind of have the same mindset on it as I had on Facebook. Facebook, I really only use Facebook for the most part for interacting with my family. Occasionally, I do stream our channel, both of my channels through Facebook also. But I try not to get into a lot of back and forth with people on Facebook because they're even far more closed-minded than people on Twitter. So I realize that it's gonna be left to those people who think either on the right, on the left, or they're even if you are in religion, you either can be a Buddhist or something like that, or you have to be evangelical. So, and even they're starting to get censored to a strong degree. As far as the whole fascism angle, a lot of the left and the younger people, they focus more on fascism when it comes to censorship. But there's a lot more to fascism than censorship. And we've been going through a big chunk of the fascism has been infiltrated into our way of life over the past couple of decades, and most people have not even paid attention. Um, when you start seeing the level of political contributions which come in from the corporations, what do you think fascism is? I mean, when Italy was doing fascism, they literally would like have the head of Ferrari would be over Department of Transportation. The head of Lamborghini is going to be over the waterways or something. They literally just taking CEOs and putting them in charge. The only difference which we have now from that is they just have a little bit of a buffer. They have an elected official which is paid by their what do they call it? By their lobbyists, and so they're still doing the same thing. I mean, to the point where if you research into ALEC, ALEC is a committee that's by all these blue chip corporations, and when they want to write a law, which is kind of blanket that helps them all, whether it's Coke, Pepsi, the beverage company, water bottling company, they all might get together and decide they're going to write this one bill. Well, those politicians, a certain handful, have already bought and paid for. They don't even read the bill. They just copy paste their name at the top and submit it. And that's what we're dealing with, where the corporations are literally making our laws. We already have fascism. It's just they slowly creep up they've already got the cameras everywhere, and they're working on building that up more and more with the what was it called, the Patriot Act. It allowed them to be able to get into our phone calls, our messaging, our emails, and all those things, and be able to click on our cameras and view us a lot of times when we don't even know they're watching. So they've already been doing all of this stuff. It's just now it's gotten to the point where it's affecting the things which more people pay more attention to. Yeah, they care about their Twitter, they care about their YouTube, they care about all those things because that's what they focus on. But they're missing all the mountain of other fascism that's been thrown in their face. This is just like they've already did, steps 1 through 7 out of 10, and everybody's just waking up on like the eighth or ninth step. I mean, so it doesn't matter whether it's been Democrats or Republicans. We've already been creeping far into fascism, and it's not because of the Republicans or not because of the Democrats. It's been because of the corporations are controlling our government already. Next thing that I would say, me and Chris, we did talk about. We've already talked about this probably about a week ago, and I am working on making a website for the show. And well, and on that website, it'll contain both the show information, and then a third show which I have in the works. That I believe that one I'm gonna do on YouTube, but this show, because I know that they're going to be cracking down and more censorship on YouTube, we are making plans in the future to move over to Rockfin. So hopefully you all get prepared for that and join us over there. Once you pay for that, I believe that minimum, I think it's like $5 membership, you get a ton of other content. And so that'll be something that we'll be able to go to at the point when, you know, they exnate us or excommunicado. Let's see. What other questions do we have, Chris?
You know, even the liberal sites like Mother Jones, even they're running articles saying like, here's how Biden can fight domestic terrorism. This is how he should do it. So you can see the pivot again is going to be everything but reopening the economy. Or, I mean, reopening the country. It's now going to be about stopping the right wing from, you know, terrorizing the rest of the country. But as usual, they never pick a target and leave legislation to that target. It almost always expands to catch everyone, right? The Patriot Act was supposed to catch terrorists, you know, it was supposed to catch terrorists, but yet we're all being surveilled as a result. So whatever laws that come from this episode on Wednesday, it's going to use to corral most of us to, again, narrow our thinking even more than what we do now. So that's where that's where we are. It's unfortunate, but just know that's what it is. I guess I'm not too worried about it because I already see the hook coming. So I'll be able to dodge it for the most part. But it's just going to make for more difficult conversations with certain people, right? Because they just not going to want to hear it. So I guess you're going to have to make some people uncomfortable for them to really understand what's going on. In regards to this, somebody made I see a comment about the checks, you know, where they have us begging for checks instead of us demanding that they reopen the economy, you know. But I guess they have to reset it in order to reopen it, right? Okay.
No, I agree with you about the I agree with you about the checks. The check thing is being done like it's being done like the student, it's being done like the student debt thing. Biden's not saying anything to, but you've got, who was it? Munchin is basically saying, oh, there's not going to be any, basically saying, oh, there's not going to be any checks. It was just like the other Democrat talking about student loan debt and saying we'll get rid of it up to $50,000, right? Up to $50,000, and Biden's like, no, I don't think we can do that. Finally, work, stepping in or whatever. So, you take them you think Democrats are actually offering any real help with a grain of salt. They're not really particularly interested. I mean, impose their new, more suppressive legislation, they'll throw you a bone. But I would even go so far as it won't even be a bone. It'll probably just be a picture of a bone, and then you can just imagine that the bone has some meat on it or something like that. So that's all I had.
Yeah, I did see that story, Marcus, about the cell phone and the girl accusing the guy. He's a musician, I think the father or something or the other. But again, it's an irrelevant story, and of course they had Gail King cover it. I didn't watch I didn't watch the interview because I avoid Gail King like the plague because I can't stand her nor her girlfriend Oprah. I can't stand either of them. So again, it's just one of those things to just again keep up a division between people. White people racist, poor black people. Look, let me for those who don't know, I'm not a victim. Okay, I don't think neither of my partners here on either side of the screen are victims either. Okay, they really want us to be out here looking goofy as black people. Man, look, those those stories are so silly. I try to ignore them. Uh, Again, they hyped it up to make it seem like Shorty was accusing the entire black race of stealing her cell phone. It's an incident between two people. Stop hyping it up to be more than what it is. That's my thing. I don't fall into that stupidness.
Yeah, neither. I mean, what I started noticing is if I start getting involved in every one of those race issue stories, I would have to just dedicate a whole new show to that. I mean, it, you gotta keep in mind that we literally live in a white supremacist world, not even just country world. I mean, and if you don't agree with that, take this fact into consideration. Europeans, let's see what they make up about 11. I'm talking about European or so-called Caucasian people make up 11% of the population worldwide. They own more than like 60% of the land. They own majority of the resources and the wealth. 11% of the population. And then, you go into your smaller percentages within that percentage, of course, that really control everything. But when you have 11% of the world who controls our entertainment, I'm not talking about as far as actually doing entertainment. I'm talking about as far as the companies who put it on, our record companies, our television companies, our movie companies. If you grow up in a in a area which tells you, well, white people don't really do anything bad. It's just that one odd apple, but minorities as a whole, they're the ones who are the problems, and the crime is all on them completely. They're just criminals by nature. They're just underachievers by nature. They're just not as smart as white people. That's why they're at the bottom of society or struggling. That's the reason why cops shoot them down every 28 hours unarmed. That's the reason why. It's them. It's all them. And if you buy into this, well, why don't you black people do more for yourself or pull yourself up by your bootstraps? If you go by that knowledge, that's because of that white supremacist propaganda has been put into your head where even if you feel like you're rejecting, you're still accepting it to a certain degree. When you have people like Megyn Kelly hopping on TV talking about it's offensive to have a black Santa Claus, that's white supremacy. We're talking about a fictional character, and you're offended because you made it a fictional character a different race. That's white supremacy right there, where people don't even realize that they're doing it. And
Well,
when you talk to a minority and you automatically start criticizing them on their grammar and thinking that they're not intelligent because maybe they misspell some stuff in tweets, that's your white supremacy. Yeah, you might have sat there in school and got the best, English grammar lessons, but that doesn't mean you have the best cognitive understanding of things or comprehension. Those things are not mutually exclusive. So, sorry about that. Go ahead, Chris.
no, also too that story mixed with some of the images we saw from the Capitol, right? The recreation of the George Floyd incident, the carrying of the noose. The stories coming from certain sections saying that they were calling the security guards the N-words. it just seemed like, again, it's always meant to just keep us only thinking about race issues and to make us as Black people mad and just super reactionary to all this stuff. But I'm at the point where I see these stories and I'm just like, it ain't got nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with us generally. That's just an incident between two people. So I refuse to allow myself to get worked up over stories like that. I could see that they want us to react in certain ways. I'm not gonna give them the benefit of that to have me out here looking stupid.
You got any thoughts, man? You'd like to add?
I have noticed it. Oh, well, I guess I'll be Georgia. I'll be honest. I have noticed a lot of people, gearing up. They have this most I would say all-encompassing belief because they won, right? Because that Warnock and Ossoff won, that they can just cleanse Georgia of its racism, cleanse of its white supremacy. And I'm just like, no legitimate way you're able to do that. But their belief in it is so strong that if any discussion in that regard automatically makes you come off as what you're espousing a Republican talking point. You're not looking out for your people. Just even having questions. It's happening more and more on social media. I have questions and they're like, oh, we can't rehash, stuff before. We have to be able to within the scope of like an article or something you quoted or whatever. We can't rehash an original discussion. So that was really all I had to say about it. It just seems like they just want to keep us in a specific frame of reference conversation. Like, you can talk about this. You can't talk about the elephant over there. The elephant's cool. The elephant, elephant's got food in the sea. We don't talk about him, but you can talk about everything over there and of the elephant.
Yeah, I just saw that comment from Signs. That's pretty funny. But I don't know where Marcus just disappeared to, but I'm seeing all these comments about robots. Yeah, you may as well. I'm looking at some of these robot hotels in Japan. I mean, they seem kind of interesting. You know what I'm saying? Because we're in the we're in the tech era. And AI, robots, and everything, that's going to be the next wave. They don't really need us, nor do they want us around too much longer, at least the vast majority of us. So that's where we are now. What Randy said, die of a malfunction in a robot brothel.
You're talking about the rise of you're talking about the rise in 10 years, 50 million or supposedly like an extra 50 million or whatever. It's got to work because automation will take over those jobs. It's supposedly supposed to happen by 2020. I mean, it is coming. I'm aware of it. So, it's something that does bother me, and it's something I am completely aware of. That eventually a lot of people who have a job, they're gonna be replaced by robots.
I had to go dig up a couple of things because I see we're getting closer to about an hour and a half. I figured we get ready to wrap this up, but I figured I would be remiss if I did not share a couple of wise words from the good book. And so I'm going to share these couple of scriptures with you guys, let you take it into consideration. And just think about it. This first one that I will share with you, because I consider myself, an average down to earth man. This one comes from Ecclesiasticus 13 and 23. It says, when a rich man speaketh, every man holdeth his tongue, and look what he saith. And think about it. The world we live in today, anytime rich people say something, y'all just trust it. I'm not saying y'all as in my audience, but I'm saying people as a whole just trust it. They say, but if a poor man speak, they say, what is this fellow? And if he stumble, they will help to overthrow him. Now, when we were talking about the whole censorship and all that, yeah, they let all these authoritative channels pump out whatever BS they want to. But whenever we try to come with real facts or information to let you think about it and actually start, trying to dig a little deeper on some of these things, they say, who is this? Who the hell is he? Who does he think he is? He doesn't know anything. Just like you heard, I believe Namiki Kantz, not that long ago. She started going into criticizing Jimmy Dore and some other people because they don't have the background that she has and things like that. And I believe it was Richard Medhurst who had to put her in her place. But that's what I mean. Those types of people, because of that pride and arrogance of heart, they just sit there and you have to be of a certain status level deemed in their eyes to listen. But if you're not, you're people like us on this panel. They're like, who the hell is he? Why the hell should we listen to him? What the hell does he know? But that's one I wanted to share with you. And this last one, when we start talking about the robots, we start talking about, the racism in Georgia, we start talking about all of these different things that are going on, the stuff that's going on down at the border, the burning of the trees down in Brazil in the rainforest. We talk about all these things that are going on, the oppression of the Uyghur Muslims. We talk about all this stuff that is going on. This one thing this one scripture that I feel is applicable. I know everybody's not believers in the book, but I just want you guys to hear this scripture also that goes with it. It says Job 9 and 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He cover the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So, you want to know who rules the world? You want to know why we're not going to get rid of racism anytime soon, or why we're going to keep having pedophiles and human trafficking and all of this crap that's going on? Because the wicked rule the earth. And until people wake up and realize the wicked rule the earth and want to start focusing on the wicked, you're still going to keep on having problems with the wicked. So that's my thoughts on that. What do you want to say, Chris?
No, that was, those are two good things to keep in mind. And also, since we're on the topic of race, we shouldn't look at things like the Capitol and then say like, well, what about us? We shouldn't even be thinking that, right? Because again, if we're at the point where we're storming the Capitol, then it's go time. It's action time, right? We're not there for photo shoots and to be sitting at Pelosi's desk with our feet on there. So don't even compare yourself to what's going on in that situation, because again, that wasn't real. That was meant to make you Marcus out here. But yeah, that was meant to make us react a certain way. So we shouldn't, these stories on race or what have you, we shouldn't jump to the typical responses. Sometimes you just gotta wait and see, and sometimes you don't even have to get involved in it, period. Like, you just let it pass, like, this ain't for me.
Well, that's another one. Yeah, Kelly, I'm going to put that one up. She says, so when are the meek inheriting the earth, asking for a friend? Well, message me and I will answer that question. Or wait for my upcoming show, which I am working on. I'll give you all the title of it later on, but it will dive into religion And I basically call it, in my mind, I think of it as the Bible is not for children. So that's kind of the approach which I'm going to take on that project. It's going to get it deep into prophecies. Um, it's going to show you where the Bible meets with real world, and it's going to start tying things in. For instance, I just watched a very, very excellent documentary showing Sodom and Gomorrah, and they were showing how all of the stuff in that area, most of the rocks were completely soaked with sulfur, that you can literally just set them on fire, and they have like a blue flame that glows all over them, and they leave off of an extremely toxic smell. And that was just like a little tiny like pebble version. So imagine what that would have been like, a boulder, say the size of a building, burning like that. Now, whether they understand or have whether they all come to the same conclusion on what happened for that occasion or that incident to happen, they all do agree scientifically that it happened. So, that I will go into bringing up some of the things about the Bible which scientists have helped confirm, and we are going to read some verses of the Bible which aren't read very often. A lot of people like to say the Old Testament that's old. Well, that's BS. There are prophecies that are literally like in Genesis that have still not been fulfilled into later on. But until you understand that most churches and most Christianity have completely gave you guys a nonsensical view of what the Bible is really about in the message, many people automatically say, get that crap away from me. I don't want to hear anything about it. But on that show, we're going to be breaking into that. So whether you are a believer or whether you're somebody who's just find it interesting to hear some different topics about the Bible or hear different verses and archaeology and wars and battles and history of the Bible, that's what I'll be doing on that platform, and that should be coming pretty soon. So keep your eyes out for it. I will make sure to do a couple of like I guess trailers for it, so you all can get a synopsis of what I'm trying to do over there and see just like this channel what I wanted to do. So without further ado, I mean, with that said, I guess oh yeah, that's right.
Let me just get one more thing to get off,
awesome.
and I'll let everybody run. Just remember, whenever they pass all these laws, whenever they come in to discuss domestic terrorism and whatever laws they pass, just remember, in the Health and Human Services update regarding the coronavirus stuff, in their update, they discuss domestic terrorism. So again, you will be considered a domestic terrorist if you don't get in line with the coronavirus dictates, right? Distancing, wearing masks, vaccinations. So just keep in mind, like, you will be called a terrorist for not going along with the program. So before you get too much on your high hog wanting to, hurt Trump supporters and brand them a certain way, just remember, it's going to come back on you if you're not careful.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing, I guess I'm just going to put this out there. Some of my views already put me on certain alphabet lists. And just the fact of my background in the military and some of my former training already puts me on a watch list no matter what I say. So that's something that I've learned that it's just how it is, and got to do it. Ooh, that's a good one, Sarah. Ooh, that's a good one. Yes. Trivia questions for my panel or for anybody in the audience besides Sarah. Can you answer who was this king which this situation was brought in front of? I'll explain the whole situation out afterwards if anybody can guess, but there is a story which a certain king. Well, I guess I'll give you a little bit of background in case you guys aren't that familiar.
Solomon.
What would you say it was?
I thought it was Solomon.
Any other guesses? Any other guesses?
But I do know that. But the story is that one was claiming that the kid was theirs, and the other one was claiming that was. One woman claimed the kid was hers, and the other kid was. And then the king said, and the king came up with that test, and one says, you can go ahead and keep the baby because I don't want you. I'm paraphrasing. You can go ahead and keep the baby because I don't want it to die. And then that woman was the one to keep the child. I thought it was it? I'd be Solomon. Yeah, Solomon. One of them thought it was. I don't know why I thought it was Solomon. I don't know. Chris can.
Got a guess, Chris?
No, I don't. Mm-mm.
Ding, 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 ding. My man is correct. It was King Solomon. King Solomon, one of the things which he prayed for was wisdom. And that situation, Emmanuel had it pretty much pretty accurate. He said, okay, then I'll just cut the baby in half and then give you both apart. And one mother was like, no, don't do that. Don't do it. I would rather the baby live. And the other one was like, no, cut the baby in half. And the one who said, no, the baby should live, he gave the baby to that one. And I actually believe he put the other woman to death. That it gets some of those things, some of those parables and little tests that they do in there are very interesting. Like, for instance, I like for people to go back and really, really reread the first part. Just read the first page of the Bible with new eyes and look at it differently. Because Genesis is not at all what you think it's talking about. All right, I guess I'll leave it at that. I noticed somebody say King Midas in there. That's impressive that you do know who King Midas is. For those who do not know who King Midas is one of the wealthiest kings of all time. Literally, when he would take his whole troop of people out on the road, when they would go into towns, they would completely destroy their economies because how much money they would bring in, and then once they would leave, it would dry up the whole economy. So King Midas was like massively impressive. But if you read the test in the Bible about Solomon's kingdom, and you read about 70 AD, some of the writings of Josephus, and he explains all the stuff that was taken out during 70 AD, the nation of Israel had unimaginable wealth at that time that was exported into the Roman Empire. Let's see. Oh, and I forgot. Tomorrow I will have another special guest on. I will have Israel Lucero from Big Talk Little Talk. He will be taking over as the main host for tomorrow, and I will just be on as a willing participant. So please check that out. It should be a lot of fun. Let's see what else says. Which part of the Bible was that in about the baby? I want to read it to my little ones. Solomon. Actually, Sarah, if you that's right, you got rid of Twitter. Chris, can you put my email in the chat? Yeah, that way, yeah, go on ahead and email me, and then I'll get back to you because I'm drawing a blank exactly where it is right now. I want to say that it is in I think it's in Samuel. It talks about it. No, not Samuel. Yeah, I think it might be not Samuel. Not Samuel. Yeah, but I'll figure it out, and then yeah, I'll send it to you. because I read literally nonstop and go into these prophecies. So right now I got a whole lot jumbled in my head because I've been reading a lot about the Maccabean period and the stuff that went on there, and then start reading into about John Hyrcanus, how he forced the Edomites who were living in that land once they came out of captivity, how he forced them to convert, and that was the first nation of converts into I guess at that point it would be Judaism, because before it wasn't really considered a religion or anything. So once you had the first people who were not of that nation take on that faith, that's when it became a religion. Before that, it was just customs and traditions and a pact with God. So even to call it a religion would have been kind of offensive to the people at the time. So they just considered themselves follower of the Most High and waiting for the Messiah to come the first time to blanket their sins, and then for the next time for him to come in future sense to save their descendants. So that is my take on it. Make sure to catch us tomorrow. Thank you all for joining us. It was a lot of fun. Shout out to Jerome. Thank you for coming on. It was a lot of fun. And Emmanuel, I love the close to home takes when you talk about the elections in Georgia. You know, feel free to tee off more and more. I saw you on Twitter. You might want to try to come. No, I just said no. I seen him. Y'all.
He was on fire, kid. Oh, yo, he was on fire.
Y'all don't know. See, y'all see this meek, mild manner Emmanuel comes on and gets all professional for y'all, but Emmanuel was like metaphorically like grabbing people and just like pow, 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 pow. Did not tell you, bitch, get my money. I mean, Emmanuel was going off. So y'all need to still follow us if you are on Twitter, and follow us until they kick us off. Because as our patience grows shorter and shorter, less dams are being given and less fucks are being, worried about. So we're all adults here. If a little foul language, because I will not call it cursing, because a curse is to actually put a spell on somebody. That's not cursing. Swearing is an oath. So even a lot of the so-called swear words, curse words that we have were words amongst the elite that were in their normal vocabulary that were not considered curse words or bad or in poor taste. It's just once the poor people start using those words, we got to demonize them. So that's just a little bit of trivia fact for you guys if you ever need it. I am your host, Young Morpheus, here with my good friends, Mr. Cy Lawson and Mr. Emmanuel, the Blue Maverick. Thank you all for joining us, and please come back, join us next week. You all know how these weeks have been going. It seems like a month worth of stuff happens in a week. Hopefully we can keep up with it all, and look forward to the next show. You guys have a good one. Enjoy your weekend. Peace out there.
Peace out, everyone.